If you haven't heard about the Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. The Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it's easy to be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you very much. Good evening, and welcome to a very special bonus content episode of Gotta Have Heart Wrestling, brought to you by Jamel Holness. Wow, what we witnessed last night at the 2020 Hell in a Cell pay-per-view event from the Thunderdome in the Amway Center of Orlando, Florida. What an event that was. I'm still shocked that Drew McIntyre lost the WWE Championship to the now 14-time champion, tying Triple H for the second world most championship wins behind John Cena and Ric Flair for 14 world championships. Some breaking news that the new WWE champion Randy Orton will appear on a Moment of Bliss with Alexa Bliss here tonight. And now, through all other news for tonight's Raw, they'll start building towards the Survivor Series, Sunday, November 22nd of this year. And also, another news is that Drew McIntyre, officially on Twitter, has been named the team captain of Monday Night Raw. I wonder, what other four possible teammates could Drew McIntyre have on his team to represent Monday Night Raw in the brand warfare for the Survivor Series? Welcome to a very special episode. I'm going to talk about the 2016 Survivor Series, one of my favorite Survivor Series of all time. Let's go into the card, shall we? This event was very special near to my heart because of the fantasy warfare match between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Very huge match on the card. The first time these two will have met since their encounter at WrestleMania 20 in Madison Garden on March 14, 2004. And wow, well, it did live up to the hype. Personally, I think it could have been more really better than it was. But nonetheless, I pretty much took my money's worth out of that by watching it on the WWE Network that night. So let's go down the list, shall we? First thing, we have the kickoff show where we saw Kane defeating Luke Harper in a one-on-one match on the kickoff show. Very short match, to say the least. It wasn't too bad, but also it could have been a little better as well. Now we kick off the event with a 5-on-5 Raw vs SmackDown 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination matchup. The event takes place on November 20th, 2016 from the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The attendance, 17,143 fans in that arena for that night. Now, we all saw how most of the people on Team Raw, such as Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha Banks, could not get along. Also, the likes of Nia Jax and Alicia Fox. Going up to Team SmackDown's captain, the SmackDown Women's Championship, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Naomi, and supposedly was supposed to be Nikki Bella. But before the match could even come out, her music hits, nowhere for her to be found. Later on, we know that she was attacked backstage, who we would then find out would be the team coach, Natalia, who would eventually replace her. Now, I wouldn't say this is a rib, nothing, but I don't know if that was going to be, or what that was planned supposed to happen. But she comes out, replace her, get a huge pop, considering that it's her home country of Canada. So the match went on at about 17 minutes and 30 seconds, and we saw that the two survivors of that match, not sole, keyword, two survivors of that match would be Charlotte and Bayley. That match was pretty good. In my mind, it could have been a little bit better. I would have liked to have seen personally Becky Lynch take the winning pinfall for her team, but we all can be beggars and choosers. We move on to a Raw vs SmackDown match. The Miz, who was crowned the new championship by defeating Dolph Ziggler on the previous SmackDown Live episode, defended against Raw's Sami Zayn, who would try to attempt to bring the Intercontinental Championship to Monday Night Raw. This match was pretty good, back and forth. The match lasted 14 minutes and 5 seconds. It wasn't there, to say the least, that we would, of course, see Maurice successfully ringing the bell over and over again, while Sami Zayn almost had Miz pinned 1, 2, 3. Evidently, the Miz had a roll up, grabbing the tights and winning and keeping the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown for his brand. Moving on, we have the first ever 10-on-10 tag team Survivor Series elimination matchup with 5 tag teams from Raw going against 5 tag teams from SmackDown. This match we will see Team Raw represented by Cesaro and Sheamus, the unlikely pair, Enzo Amore and Big Cass, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Shining Stars, and then the Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Big E. Wolf Xavier was at ringside, going up against American Alpha, Breeze, Tyler Breeze and Fandango Breezango, the Hype Bros, Mojo Rawley, Zack Ryder, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Rhino and Heath Slater. I think personally this is probably the most entertaining match of the night. We saw a lot of combustible elements in that matchup. American Alpha, tremendous, especially Chad Gable and Jason Jordan pulling out all the stops. Even though they were evidently eliminated, but still, I think their performance is probably the best out of by far. But I think that match proved how strange bedfellows can get along as well. I mean, Cesaro and Sheamus, you wouldn't even believe how different these two guys are. One from Switzerland, the other one's from Ireland. But together, they are a successful, formidable tag team. Mind you, they had a best of 7 series, which ended at the Raw exclusive event Clash of Champions in September 2016. But nonetheless, they would defeat the Usos at the last remaining team for Team SmackDown to get the win for Monday Night Raw. And kudos to that team because I was pulling for them all along. You know I'm a SmackDown guy, but I was hoping, a little glimpse of hope that Cesaro and Sheamus would get along and get the victory for their team. They did. Entertaining match of the night. I called it. Moving on, we have the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. And here's the stipulations. Mick Foley, the Raw GM at the time, had put the entire division on the line against SmackDown's Kalisto, representing SmackDown Live on Tuesday nights. Good match back and forth, but via Brian Kendrick won via disqualification with the interference of Baron Corbin, who would have some grudge against Kalisto himself. But since he's had the Brian Kendrick first, Brian Kendrick wins via disqualification and keeps the Cruiserweight Championship and the entire division on Monday Night Raw. Moving on, probably the most star-studded Raw submission match for Raw vs. SmackDown history. We will see Team SmackDown represented by Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton of the Wyatt family, Shane McMahon, the commissioner himself, Dean Ambrose, and the WWE World Champion AJ Styles. Or going up against the team of Seth Rollins, the United States Champion Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, and the WWE Universal Champion Kevin Owens. Let's just say there was a huge pop when both Jericho and Owens came out, considering that they both are best friends. Owens the U.S. champion, and they are both from Canada themselves. A lot of loud celebrations I've ever heard. Pretty damn cool. We saw a lot in the matchup. Braun Strowman getting eliminated via countout by the interest of James Ellsworth, who will suffer a BO through a table on the stage rampart. And then another great one I'd like to mention is how Shane McMahon suffered that devastating spear by Roman Reigns in midair. Not even get eliminated by pinfall, but just could not continue. Thank God Shane's family is there at ringside to let the thumbs up around know that he's okay. Thank God for that. Another magical moment I will witness here is the brief formation of the Shield, just for a couple minutes, just for a couple minutes. Dean Merle's coming out attacking AJ Styles, who he eliminated, the first man to be eliminated, by the way, of that whole entire matchup. Oh man, just to see them find off security and doing the triple powerbomb to the WWE World Champion AJ Styles through the Spanish announce table. What a moment to see, even though different brands, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose of the former group of the Shield, just getting together and just doing a powerbomb. I was excited for that. I jumped up, screwed off my lung. I was like, yes. All right, moving on. And then with another devastating RKO out of nowhere to Seth Rollins, eliminated Seth Rollins out of the match. Roman Reigns finds himself at a 2-on-1 disadvantage. We saw Luke Harper come in at the last one interference, suffered a spear by Roman Reigns through the outside ring in the front. We will see Roman Reigns setting up for a spear to Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton taking the spear as a sacrifice. Bray Wyatt hitting his sister Abigail for the win for Team SmackDown. The survivors of that match are Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. The only victory SmackDown had that night in the traditional Star Elimination matchup. So kudos to Randy and Bray to bring that one to Friday night to SmackDown Live. All right, next we will see the anticipation, the main event, the mega matches of all matches: Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar in the main event. Of course, you all know that this feud had been building since these two last met at WrestleMania 20 in the mid card match where we had Austin referee that match that night. So we know both of them were making an exit out of WWE that night. Of course, well known, Brock Lesnar tried to go back to the football league. Goldberg went elsewhere. Then we're looking for Brock Lesnar going back to football, but he would have much success in the UFC, becoming the UFC champion throughout those years. Now back to WWE. Now we have Goldberg back, building up how he had his return on SportsCenter, and then to build up the new WWE 2K17 video game was going to be released later on that was released later on that month. Had the time by Paul Heyman winning Raw to have a challenge issue between him and Lesnar. Goldberg accepted it, and he said, and quote, "Go Brock Lesnar, you're not only next, you're last." We're thinking, okay, how's this match gonna go? I had all these possible scenarios in my head. Is it gonna take an ass kicking by Lesnar, the special ass kicking, or was Goldberg just gonna show his dominance that he has still been on top where he left back in 2004? So Brock Lesnar makes his way to the ring. Out comes Goldberg next. Oh man, anticipation is so high when ever chanting Goldberg, Goldberg, over and over again. The rings the bell. We have Brock Lesnar pitting Goldberg in the corner, and then Goldberg shoving Lesnar to the ground. Brock Lesnar gets up, spear, the first spear of that matchup. Brock Lesnar gets up again, spear by Goldberg again in that matchup, and one final jackhammer slam to Lesnar, pinning Lesnar 1, 2, 3. Is as crazy as it sounds, folks. This match lasted 1 minute and 26 seconds. Fantasy warfare just got real. Wow, a minute and a half that match took place. Although I was not entirely cool about the match lasting that short. I wish it could have been longer. I really had wished it had been longer, but like I said, we literally saw Goldberg becoming 2-0 against Lesnar that night and leaving the fans with the sun in the ring posing to end the show. Comment what you guys think about Survivor Series 2016. Personally, I think it was probably one of the most entertaining, yeah, shorter main event matches that we ever had in any Survivor Series, by the way. But still, it lived up to the hype of every Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series. Now, tune in to what happens this year at the 2020 Survivor Series, when I'm guessing Raw or SmackDown, maybe NXT will get involved, just like they did last year. Thank you guys for listening to this bonus episode as I make the rundown of the 2016 Survivor Series that aired at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Good night, everybody, and thank you for listening to my podcast.